Okay. So, hi everyone. Thanks, Christopher, for arranging this meeting. And basically, I will have it like a really free format. So, just stop me and ask me anything you would like to ask me. Um, what I actually wanted to talk to you about is about the static reachability feature, right? So this is currently in beta, and this is one of our P1 features, right? So this is an important one, I can say. So until now, it used to be on experimental phase, but the experimental phase it was not something that the actual users could actually use, right? They could actually see it on the in the interface. But now it's live on production for beta, and we do support only Python projects right now. And for GA, we are going to support JavaScript and hopefully also Java. And I'm saying hopefully because it's a bit tricky. It's a bit difficult to do that, but let's see. Uh, we had many problems with static reachability, to be completely honest. One of them were the tight deadlines, right? So I think now we have a new kind of planning where we do commit like many months ago in advance, but that was not the case for static reachability. So we really had to build the beta version, which was a complete redesign of experimental in just 2 months, right? And we faced quite some issues. Some of them you might already know, but I'm going to talk about it. But let me get started with what actually static reachability is, right? So static reachability analysis gives us more information that can help the user prioritize their vulnerabilities, right? So, as you might already know, there are projects out there with thousands, even more than thousands of vulnerabilities, right? So, what static reachability analysis does is it actually tells you from all the dependencies that you have in a certain project, which of them are actually reached, right? Are actually used. And there are two levels of reachability analysis. There is the package level and function level. So what we currently do is package level reachability. So basically what that means is that if you import a library, you're actually using it, right? Because in many languages, you can just import a library. So that library, for instance, might be in your log file, but you're not really using it. But it still appears in your dependency list. And as a result, any vulnerability that package might have, it will appear in your vulnerability list. But so that means that imagine that you're not using a package that has multiple critical vulnerabilities of high priority, right? You don't want to spend time on those. You really want to see if that package is really used, right? So this is what static reachability does. And then in the future, we will also have function level reachability. So that will be even a level deeper, right? So, okay, this package that has a certain vulnerability is actually being used, but it actually uses, let's say, function foo. Is that function foo on the vulnerable path? If yes, we will give that information to the user. If not, then it's okay, right? But that's something that will come eventually in the near future. So that's what basically static reachability is, in theory, at least. I'm not sure if anyone has any question on this part.
All good. All good. Thank you for the explanation. Crystal clear. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruno. Um, so yes, let me go into what we currently have today, right? So let me share my screen, go to the documentation. Let me, I'm sharing. Wait, give me 1 minute. Yes. Okay. Uh, so this is what we currently have in our public documents, right? We basically say that we support Python. And when it comes to the supported managers. We basically support any Python packet manager that the new DS analyzer supports. So right now, when we perform dependency scanning, we have two ways of doing that. We can use Gymnasium, so that was the analyzer until now, or we can use the new DS analyzer. And static reachability works only with the new DS analyzer, at least for now. It's actually very easy to enable it also for Gymnasium, but we are not doing that on purpose, so we can drive so that users migrate to the new DS analyzer, right? Um, so that being said, if you just want to enable static reachability, you basically need to use the new DS analyzer. There is a link here on how to do that, right? Because so basically that involves adding an envar, more specifically this one, and also having a job that will generate a certain file that is required by the DS analyzer. Most probably you are familiar with that process. If not, that's okay. This is the link here. And then for enabling static reachability, you basically need to do two things. First of all, you need to add this envar, the static reachability enabled equal to true. And you need to override the dependency scanning with reachability job, right? So until now, the dependency scanning was on a job named dependency scanning. We had to introduce dependency scanning with reachability. So that's like another version of the dependency scanning job, but it actually enriches the SBOM with reachability information, right? So maybe I could show you how this looks in practice. Let me find some pictures. Yes, I think this is good enough just to show you how it looks like. So when you basically enable static reachability, you will have these two jobs in your pipeline. The first one, it's called GitLab static reachability. This is actually running Glass, the Glass image. So that comes from the SaaS team, and it will create a reachability report, which is then parsed by the dependency scanning with reachability job. And this job will first create the SBOMs, and then it will read this report and enrich the SBOMs with the reachability information, right? So how does that look like? So I have here an example. So this just an SBOM for a PyP for a Python project. And as you can see here in the component list, we have this additional property basically identifying if this is reachable or not. And there are two values, not found and in use. I think it's an interesting fact is that when we perform the reachability analysis, so that's where we actually find the direct, we find which package is actually used. So we actually look on the direct dependencies, right? We don't look on transitive dependency. So if the direct dependency is actually in use, we also mark all the transitive dependencies as in use. So just to show you an example, here we have two packages, PyYAML and requests. And in this case, the PyYAML package has no dependencies, right? But the PyYAML is in use, while the request package has multiple dependencies, these four, but the request package is not in use, not found. So that means that we mark also all the transitive dependencies of the request package as not found. So that's just to give you a bit of more information of how the enriched SBOM looks like, right? But the end user most probably doesn't see that SBOM, right? Of course, they can open it and look inside, but probably most of them, they're not going to do that. So how does the actual end user sees that? So there are two ways of seeing it right now for beta in their vulnerability report. If they hover over this severity, this link, you get information like EPSSKEV, and now we also have information about the reachability. In this case, it's yes. This is one way of doing it, and then another way of doing it is actually opening the the vulnerability, and then you see that the reachability value. One thing that you should notice is that, as you have seen in the SBOM, we have two states: in use or not found, right? But for the front end, we have three states, and this is yes, not found, which means that we ran the static reachability analysis and we didn't find that this package is in use, and not available. This means that the static reachability analysis didn't run, right? So static reachability was not enabled. So we have no information about that. So for instance, I have here, this is just a vulnerability that we have in our own scanner. And this is a Go scanner. So we don't support Go yet. So as you can see here, reachability says not available. And basically that means that, yeah, we have no information about it. So at this point, I'm going to stop because I think I already bombed you with quite some information, and ask you if you have any questions, if everything is clear.
Um, I had a question. For the vulnerabilities, are all severities taken into consideration from the lowest to the highest severity?
So if I understand correctly, the question is if the vulnerability severity makes any difference, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it doesn't make any difference. So independently of the severity, the reachability information will be there. If static reachability is enabled, of course. Otherwise, you get not available as the reachability information.
Okay.
I have one. Yeah, we're about to bombard you, Nick.
No,
But
no
Firdaus,
worries.
let's give you priority, then I'll ask mine.
But you can ask questions. It's okay. It's perfectly okay for me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so you mentioned that the dependency scanning, this is using dependency scanning. There's one dependency scanning that builds the initial SBOM, and then the other job enriches the SBOM. So I wanted to ask if do I need it feels like this will do the normal dependency scanning, right? Plus the
Enrichment.
reachability, yeah, and the enrichment. So with this setup, I do not need to set up another dependency scanning job, the normal one, right? Like, so if I have this one, I'll get the normal one plus the enriched version.
So it's a very good question. So basically, what happens is that on the latest template, we have two dependency scanning jobs. We have the dependency scanning job, the one that you're used to, right? And the dependency
Hmm.
scanning job with reachability, right?
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
when when static reachability is turned off, you will just get the dependency scanning job, the one that you're used to.
Okay.
When you
Yep.
enable static reachability, you will get two jobs. You will first get the GitLab static reachability job. This is running SAST, so Glass,
Hmm.
basically, the advanced SAST. And then after that, you will get the dependency scanning with reachability. So that's more or less the same as the simple dependency scanning job. So it first generates the SBOM reports, but then it doesn't stop there. It goes on. It parses the reachability report and then reaches that SBOM with reachability
Okay.
information.
Okay.
So
Got it. Got it.
hopefully, and I think it's not possible, but you never know. But I think you can never get both dependency scanning job and dependency scanning with reachability. If you get that, that's really bad. We shouldn't be getting that.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And the other uh job dependency scanning with reachability also generates the resulting SBOM, right? As an artifact. Or
Is- Sorry,
I'm
I'm
sorry. No, no. Sorry. Yeah, just ignore my question. No, no. No, like yeah, I got the point.
oh,
So the first one will generate the SBOM as an artifact, right? And the second one, I'm assuming that it will also generate
so so so. Let me. find this picture. Yes. So I think this is a good example, right? So
Yeah.
please ignore the MR, just look on the pictures, right? So when dependency scanning, when we have just dependency scanning without static reachability, we just have this one job, and this one job will just create DS bombs, and that's
Yeah.
all. If we enable static reachability, you don't get this one, and you get these two. The first one creates a report which the user doesn't see, right? This report contains information like reachability, specific information about the direct dependencies, and then this report will be ingested by the dependency scanning with reachability job, and this one will create the enriched SBOMs, right? So the same
Got it.
SBOM as this one, but with reachability information.
Got
So
it. Got
it's a
it.
bit
Yeah.
complex, I know. If you have any more questions, let me know.
Awesome. No, that's good. Thank you so much. It's very clear now. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Um, so I think the most important feature for the user is filtering, right? Because in the end of the day, as I said, the most important thing is that we want to filter vulnerabilities based on reachability. This is not currently on beta. And the reason why it's not is because we are blocked from another epic, right? Doesn't really matter right now. But for GA, we need that. So for GA, we will have filtering capabilities. So that means that you will be able to go to the vulnerability report and you will be able to say, okay, show me only the vulnerabilities that are reachable. So that's coming for GA. Um, Okay, so let me explain now a couple of problems that we had with this approach. We basically had two main problems. One of them was that the glass image had it had quite low performance for generating this reachability report that is consumed by the dependency scanning with reachability job, right? So just to give you an example, I think Fast API, which is a very quite big project for Python. It's just a Python library that I'm using to benchmark. It took like 40 minutes to generate the report. So that's quite problematic. There are good reasons why the performance is low, right? It does a lot of things that we actually don't need. So that was a big problem. And a second problem, which most probably Christopher is also aware of, was the fact that we introduced these two new jobs that they depend on them or on each other. So, for instance, what I mean by that is that the dependency scanning with reachability job depends on the GitLab static reachability job, right? So, and that's why if you see in the instructions here, users need to do this. They need to add this in their project config. They need to add the needs on the GitLab static reachability and on the job that creates the artifact used by the dependency scanning job, right? So, so this is the job that creates the log file, actually, right? In this case, I created a job named create that it's in the build stage and it creates this pip dep3.json, which is used by the DS job. So we need to override this. And I know that this looks really ugly, but there is no other way to do this. And the main reason behind it is that users, they customize those templates in so many different ways. So it's really difficult to build something that it's not going to break something from a user. And I know that the latest DS template, it's supposed to be it's beta template. So in theory, we could break users pipeline, but we don't want that. Especially lately, this template has been used a lot. So we want to avoid that. So that being said, I'm already working and hopefully I can finish this by 18.0. What I'm trying to do is get rid of the SAST of the glass image, the advanced SAST image, right? So I want to use semgrep instead of that, right? Because semgrep, it's quite fast. Actually, it's lightning fast in comparison with glass. And on top of that, we can do everything inside the dependency scanning job. And this is actually this MR that I have here, right? This is an MR, and what it actually shows is that we go from these two jobs into just one job, right? So we will get rid of the GitLab static reachability job and also rid of the dependency scanning with reachability job. And then we will only have one job, the dependency scanning job. And you will still be able to enable static reachability by just setting that envar, and you won't have to do anything else at all, right? So only that. So once we have that, we will first have really better performance, big difference in the performance, and also we will streamline our template. We will make it much simpler. So that also means that you will probably get much less headaches as support engineer, right? Because we don't mess up with those templates. So that means that you don't get complaints from users like why this is not working, why is it breaking my pipeline. So this is what I'm currently working on. Hopefully we can get this through 18.0, right? Um, and then for the next milestone, we will be working on adding support. So I think that's all from my side. I think I covered everything. So yeah, feel free to ask me any question that you might have.
Um, I guess the question I have is just looking at the documentation, you said that, and what you've said right now. So advanced SAST is used to perform the uh, static reachability analysis, but ideally you want to move into using SEMGRAPE.
Correct.
And just to add on to that, just based on the documentation, it sounds like it's focusing on dependencies. So this is only purely for dependency scanning, only for when the SBOM is made available.
That is correct. That is correct because the SBOM reports are what basically gives us the dependency list on the UI, right? And this is the right place to have the reachability information. So I know that right now uh, we show the reachability information on the vulnerabilities and not on the dependency list, right? So what I mean by that is that uh, you get that information here. You see, reachable. So in you get that information in the vulnerability report. But if I go to the dependency list, you don't really get anything. But that is going to change. You will also get the reachable package here, right? Uh, but yes, you're right. Static reachability is really coupled with dependency scanning because dependency scanning is giving us the dependencies, and static reachability is about which dependencies are actually being in use, are actually reached.
This is my question. And actually the next one, which was about the dependency list.
Yes. So maybe I think it's also a nice one. I was also not aware of that, right? Why it's important to have the reachability information here on the dependencies, right? So imagine a case where we have a new vulnerability like log4j or XY, right? Uh, when people realize that we have a really critical vulnerability, we have about 72 hours until you get a CV, right? And once we get the CV, then we know if we can show it in the vulnerability report. But now, if you remember with XY or even worse with log4j, in those 72 hours, they were literally thousands of companies were hacked and I think the people or companies lost really millions even. I remember even a bank was was hacked, right? So those 72 hours are really critical. Imagine that you are a customer that has 1,000 projects And you want to already know which of them have that dependency and is actually reachable. And you want to know that before the vulnerability is out there, before the advisory it's even out there. And that's why it's important to have this in the dependency list, right? So before the vulnerability is there, you will be able to see, okay, this is the dependency. I want to see which of my projects have that. Let's say 1,000 projects have that dependency. Okay, 1,000, they're already too many. I want to know if that dependency is reachable, so maybe then you end up with just 100 projects instead of 1,000, right? So this is already giving you a pointer on where you need to go and act first in those first 72 hours. So I think that's a very interesting topic. I also wasn't aware of this whole thing, so I think it's interesting. Okay. Any other questions related to this? Seems like no other questions. Well, in that case, I wanted to also say that yes, if you get any problems with users about static reachability, you really know who to contact, right? Just contact the DS channel, of course, the composition analysis channel. But please feel free to tag me, right? Because I am the DRI for this project, and at least for the moment. I know almost everything about it, right? So I think I'm the most capable person answering. We also have a beta feedback issue. Right now, it's quite empty. I don't see much traction. I hope this will change uh, in the in the future. So if you, I'm not sure. Probably solutions engineers might be able to ask clients to use new features, right? I'm not sure if you folks are doing that, but just in case, you can always, if you get any customer that is using static reachability and they have some kind of feedback, please refer them to this issue. I'm also going to add this in the document so that I can see that feedback because this will make my life so much easier. Oh, yeah, nice. And yeah, I think that concludes everything. Thank you for joining and listening in. And yeah, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me, PM me, or add a question on the document. If I don't see it, please ping me. And yeah, I'm always here to help.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Nick. Really appreciated this. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. See you.
Thank you, and yeah, have a nice remainder of the day.
You too. Bye bye.